Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, a production of Gore Call, in which we speak to small cap executives right after they put out important news. And today's news, I got to tell you, it's huge. It's out of Valeo Pharma. With us is Steve Saviak, CEO, trades on the CSC under VPH. For our friends in the US, VPHIF, and for our friends in Europe, VP2. For those of you new to the story, what exactly does Valeo do? They're revenue generating. That's what's important. A revenue generating Canadian pharmaceutical company, because we know pharmaceutical companies sometimes in the small cap world have a long runway and investors get patient. How they do that? They acquire Canadian rights to commercial stage proprietary drugs. That's what today's press release is about. It's huge. And that's translated into Q4 net revenue, 2.2 million, up 76% versus Q4 2019. 2020 net revenues, 7.5 million, up 14% over 2019. 9 products currently marketed, 7 in the pipeline with $45 million in estimated peak sales per year. And today's press release, Valeo enters into an agreement with Novartis Pharma Canada to commercialize 2 asthma therapies, position the company as a leading Canadian respiratory company. Steve, welcome to the show, man.
Yeah, George, nice to be back.
Every time we have you on, it seems like you're doing something bigger and bigger. Now you've got an agreement with Novartis Pharmaceutical Canada. For people at home who don't know maybe who Novartis' parent company is, how big are they and how big is this for Valeo? Before we get into the details, just conceptually, how big is this?
Well, Novartis is one of the top innovative companies in the world. I think they're in the top 5 in terms of multinational ethical pharmaceutical companies. So a very big company, offices all over the world, including in Canada. We're very pleased to be partnering up with them on these 2 new and innovative asthma therapies. Both of them were approved last summer by Health Canada, and we will be launching them in the coming weeks. So we're very excited about this partnership, and it's truly transformative for Valeo. I know that word is used a lot by companies, but we're talking more than doubling our workforce, opening a new therapeutic area in respiratory, marketing 2 drugs that are truly world class, and we're very excited to be part of it.
So this deal for these 2 asthma therapies is so big that you're going to be doubling the workforce at Valeo?
That's correct. More than doubling.
Are you guys able to talk about what the impact may be to the top end or bottom line, or is it too early for you guys to say?
It's still too early to disclose. We should disclose it probably in the next week or so. It's significant. It's a significant jump. The asthma market itself, and there's, the asthma market has various segments, but what's known as the maintenance asthma market. So these are patients that have to take asthma therapy on a daily basis, is about 1.5 million. We're talking about 1.5 million Canadians. We're talking about a market that's $700 to $800 million and growing. The number of patients diagnosed with asthma every year grows about 2.5%. So it's a significant marketplace, one of the top 5 therapeutic categories in Canada, and we're really excited to have the opportunity to enter into this. And I think it's certainly, as I mentioned earlier, it's transformative both from a knowledge perspective in terms of how we're building our medical team, our sales team, how we're the revenues it'll generate, and the number of people that we're going to be hiring.
Now, devil's advocate, big market also means big competition. If George Com right now provides a lot of therapies into the asthma space, I'm probably not going to just let you, or hopefully fight you off as hard as I can to take away market share from me. What's the competitive advantage that you have that's going to lead you to take away what sounds like some pretty meaningful market share to that $700-800 million annual market?
Well, George, you're very correct. In a big market is generally dominated by big companies,
sure,
because there's that much revenue available. The big competitors in Canada for these products will be AstraZeneca and Glaxo, GSK. These are the two other big respiratory companies in Canada. But what led us to this opportunity and to entering into an agreement with Novartis was the strength of the clinical program that Novartis had performed, over 7,500 patients worldwide, including a number of sites in Canada. And what both drugs demonstrated is a significant improvement over the current standard of care, which includes the competition. So we think these are drugs that advance therapies that have the opportunity to make asthma control more attainable by Canadians. And we think on the merits of the clinical data, which is generally in the pharma industry, the clinical support, the clinical data, the efficacy of drugs is what physicians are looking for. They're looking for something that improves the current standard of care. And we believe both these drugs do that.
I've got to assume everybody, every doctor, everybody in the medical field that's in the asthma space, they're constantly looking for what's new and great. I've got to figure that patients, so thank goodness I don't suffer from this, but God bless people who do. But if I'm suffering from it, I'm constantly online looking for new. So you've got the partnership, you've got the clinical data, you've got a big market. The question becomes, how do you make sure that the doctors, the physicians, the patients find out about your product and make sure it gets into their hands? Is it a combination of door-to-door, e-commerce, digital? How do you make sure you get this out to everybody?
It's a large task because the market in Canada and the specialists and the doctors that write the prescriptions that actually recommend or initiate a patient on drugs split into two categories. One is respiratory specialists that are experts in various respiratory diseases, but also the family doctor, the general practitioner, the primary care physician has a huge influence in which asthma therapies are being used.
Of course.
So we will be developing and initiating a fairly large sales force, and it'll be a combination of the traditional doctor visits, explaining to the doctor the merits of these two drugs. There'll be a lot of digital, as you know, today under COVID restrictions. There's been a real move towards the digital platforms and to ensure to interface. And I think people are liking this. They're seeing that it's very efficient, and much like ourselves, where we're using this Zoom platform, and it's a very efficient way of communicating with literally hundreds or thousands of people. In addition, a significant marketing expenditure. And when I say marketing, it's medical information that we'll be marketing. It won't be TV ads to consumers or direct to consumer advertising. We're talking about making sure physicians are aware of the benefits that these two drugs bring to their patients.
I can't wait to hear what the number is that you guys were releasing. Sounds like sometime in the near future, maybe as early as your Q1 call, about how big, because it sounds anecdotally now, it's pretty, as I'm putting the pieces together, you're going to a massive upsize to your staff, your staffing, massive upside to your upsizing to your marketing. So this is clearly going to be a big product for you guys. Fair to say, Steve, that put numbers to it, this would be your biggest product?
Yes, there's two products we're talking about here. One is called Enerzair, which is a fixed triple dose drug, the first of its kind in Canada for asthma. So it means there's 3 separate chemicals that are used to control asthma. And the other is Atectura, which is a dual dose, so dual combination of 2 drugs. Enerzair will be the biggest drug. This is the one that has the greatest potential. We believe it will be certainly in asthma, amongst one of the top selling drugs, and potentially amongst the top selling drugs in Canada.
So when do they hit the market, Steve? When do you expect them to be in the market?
The next few weeks.
Wow. So you guys you're ready to go.
We're ready to go. And when I say hit the market, commercial availability, in other words, the ability to buy these drugs will be available over the next 2 weeks. In terms of actually having our sales team out in front of doctors, it'll be probably early May that will, as we sort of ramp up for it. It's a huge undertaking on our side. It's got very many parallel paths. We're expanding our premises, we're rebranding our company, and obviously we're hiring both at the head office and across Canada. So very, very exciting times.
Looking at big picture, now we know why Frederick Fasano, your recently appointed new president and COO, chief operating officer, joined Valeo. Because remember when we talked about him at the time, he had incredible pedigree, great background, and we're talking, and he wasn't the only one. There are others who have joined the company where we say, what is it's attracting people of his caliber, to a small cap, Canadian pharma company? Is this the indication of, of things to come and why you're attracting such incredible talent?
Well, yeah, funnily enough, I mean, at that time that Fred joined us, obviously he was aware that we were in discussions with Novartis. We've been in discussions with them for well over a year, but there was no certainty that that would come to a conclusive or a conclusion. So what really attracted him was Redesca. And Redesca is our anticoagulant, which we'll be launching shortly. We can't say exactly.
Better known as blood thinner.
Blood thinner, exactly. Big market in Canada. We're very, there'll be more news coming out about that again over the next week or so. So I think there's a lot of news that Valeo will be able to disclose. We want our shareholders to be aware of what the company is doing. But it was Redesca and some of our other products that attracted Fred. I mean, the Novartis agreement is really, the cherry on the cake in that sense for him. But clearly someone of his background will play a huge and instrumental role in building out our organization, in managing a big product. Fred's, as you mentioned, very seasoned, energetic, pharmacist by training. And it's just part of the team. We will be building our medical team bigger, obviously our sales capabilities, some people in marketing. So it's a very exciting time at Valeo. It's a great time to be an employee or to become an employee.
I want to take last segment here. I want to talk about the bigger picture of what this does, and I want to segue into that with an excerpt from Mr. Fasano's quote, where he said, "This significant addition to our expanding product portfolio is key to achieving our growth objectives." Great. "It will prove the basis for the upscaling of our organization," which you've talked about, "and set the stage for future international expansion." What's he referring to there? Because you guys are primarily a Canadian pharmaceutical company right now.
That's correct. And I think, for the time being, we have to look at it that way. But clearly in respiratory, we become one of the top players. I mean, we're literally right up there with Astra and with GSK. And I mean, it's a huge compliment just to be sometimes considered in the same breath as these companies.
Wow.
But as we look forward, as we move forward, we do expect, and the types of products we're looking at, multi-territory deals potentially. I'm not talking these two particular asthma products. We have the Canadian rights for, but there are other drugs that we are in discussions with where we are looking to potentially have the US rights or European rights or some other territories rights, which could push towards more of an international look in the company over the course of years. But it's still early days. It's a very forward-looking statement by Fred, but it does play into what our long-term plans are, is to become not just a Canadian company, but more of a company that has other areas under its jurisdiction.
And normally, I would say, an investor would say, most people would say, "Hey, what do you expect Fred and Steve to say?" One's a chief operating officer, one's a chief executive officer. Of course, they got to have hopes and things and aspirations to bigger and bigger. Who doesn't, right? But the difference here is that, you've now struck a deal with the likes of Novartis. So that puts you, and I want to read a quote from Andrea Marazzi, who's the head of Novartis in Canada, it sounds like, head of country, where Valeo's commitment and focus to bring these products to Canadians, combined with our strong respiratory experience, brings a solution that will help make asthma control a more attainable goal for some Canadians. So that's a big endorsement there, coming from someone who runs the country for Novartis. So bigger picture on top of this deal, and Fred's talk about international expansion in the future. Does this give you that industry validation where now other big pharma companies are going to say, "Hey, Valeo, they're a great organization. We got to look about partnering with them.
Yeah, I think it gives us a lot of credibility that such a large and prestigious company as Novartis enters into a deal with us. I think it certainly validates all of the work that we've put in over the last years. It's a testament to our people. There was, in part of that quote, talked about respiratory experience. And although we were not a respiratory company prior to this transaction, we did have a number of employees that had extensive backgrounds in respiratory. So that's helpful. The issue, the beautiful thing about this relationship is these products are being launched worldwide, in many cases by Novartis, in some cases by partners. It really depends on the country, but majority wise by Novartis itself. So we're partnering up with a large company that has, tremendous clinical talent, tremendous marketing insight to this whole area. So there's a lot of support coming from them. So it's a very nice two-way kind of interaction with strong support and us providing a lot of the execution. And what we're doing, this agreement is a full service agreement, everything from pricing, all the commercialization, back end to medical info. So it's, product comes to our warehouse, it'll be shipped out from us. So it's really providing a turnkey service. And that's why it's called a commercial and supply agreement. It's all commercial activities that we'll be undertaking. So again, a lot of faith by Novartis in our commercial abilities, and and it's just starting. But as you also said, the more products you have, you do become a beacon for other companies looking at. And I'll give you a good example. We're now in respiratory. We know that Zambon has a late stage product in respiratory. It's not asthma, it's a specific lung condition, more of an orphan rare disease, but clearly it puts us as a potential player to talk to, Zambon and others, I'm sure. And we can't forget about oncology and neurology, which are also, as we have added products there, are getting attention. So it's a really interesting time. We're seeing some really innovative products. I think, healthcare, you cannot say that, where every therapeutic area has benefits coming down the road in terms of new drugs that'll make lives better for patients. And that's what we want to provide, the best of therapies to Canadians and over time outside of Canada. So it's exciting to be involved with these truly world-class innovative products.
Well, Steve, more than just lip service, you guys are delivering. I mean, before this announcement, you guys were growing revenues, great, bringing new product. We've talked about those, and now adding on, these two asthma therapies through Novartis, Pharmaceutical Canada. Congratulations on what you guys have done, and can't wait until you guys can provide us all with more specifics as to how transformative these two products are going to be to your top line. I'm really looking forward to that.
Well, thanks for having me, and I'm really thrilled to be able to talk about this, and look forward with increasing regularity to be on your show and to be talking about the development of our company, not just with these two asthma products, but with Redesca and some of the others that we're currently marketing or waiting approval on.
And for everyone at home, don't forget Hesperico.
That's
all right. This is, if you want to protect, if you want to have great protection against immunosupport, COVID-19, you got concerns. This is, vitamin C. Let me tilt it just the right way if I can get it in. This is vitamin C on steroids, and not literally steroids, but this is super hyper. So this is, my whole family's using this now, and everyone feels fantastic. I got it here by my desk because I take it every day, and I just have it here.
There'll be more news on Hesperico coming out shortly. Also, very very excited. As you know, the clinical trial is enrolling. It's with the Montreal Heart Institute. It's enrolling patients on a regular basis. The enrollment actually is accelerating. Unfortunately, as cases accelerate in Montreal or Quebec, I think we're back up to close to 1,000 cases per day. Unfortunately. And what's important too, the vaccine is very important, but the vaccine is meant to keep you out of the hospital, keep you from severe conditions. There's no reason, even if you have the vaccine, not to continue to take Hesperico for other viral infections, or even if you are exposed to COVID, to reduce symptoms. So it's
Amazon. We ordered it from Amazon, came in, simple as that. Let me see. There it is. Ordered from Amazon, came in, Hesperico. You'll love it. Steve, the way you guys are going, we're just going to have you move in to the studio, right? Just have you just have the 24/7 Valeo media channel going pretty soon.
Well, again, it's exciting times at Valeo, and we continue. We hope to be back soon with more relevant news that'll give your shareholders a bit of a sense of where Valeo is. And I go back to, I think it's Wayne Gretzky and our dear Wayne Gretzky, top hockey players of all time, which is don't look at where the puck is, look at where the puck's going. And again, with Valeo is where are we going to be in a year's time, in 2 years' time? And I think it's got a lot of people internally excited and a lot of our shareholders excited also.
I may have to edit out that comment because you are Laval, Montreal, Quebec based, and you probably should have used Rocket Richard or Guy Lafleur. You're probably going to get backlash on social media now.
That's right. Well, Wayne said it though. That's the thing.
I know.
We all have a fun.
All teasing. It's good to have a little fun while we got you on. But Steve, congratulations. Can't wait to have you on next time, my friend.
Thank you very much, George.
For everybody at home, you've been watching or you've been listening by podcast on Spotify, Google, Apple, or your favorite podcast platform, to Steve Saviak. He's CEO of Valeo Pharma, trades on the CSC on the stock symbol VPH, VPHIF for our friends in the US, and VP2 for our friends in Europe trading on Frankfurt. We know that with pharmaceuticals, not the easiest vertical to understand, but we've got it easily laid out for you on Agoracom. Do your due diligence by getting to the Valeo Pharma Hub. Take a look at the profile page. We've got the company neatly laid out for you in layman's terms to understand. Then link over to the company's website, do a deeper dive and due diligence. And guys, make sure you watch the last 3 or 4 interviews that we've done together with Steve, because they're powerful. And every time the company says they're going to do something, they do it. That's the best way to learn. If you can't sit in front of your computer, plug it into your earbuds, go for a walk, listen for Bluetooth in your car, because if you're a small cap investor, you've got to do your due diligence. And this is one to do your due diligence on. Don't say we didn't tell you so. Have a great day. See you next time.